G'day all, it's Colin from PC TLC and thanks for joining me. I'm back on Zorin OS, this time on real hardware. So I managed to get it installed on my Toshiba laptop. I think I was just completely unlucky the other night when I was trying to install it and having some repo errors. So everything's worked fine. So I've installed over the top of Ubuntu Budgie, and I may be putting that back on. It just depends, but what I want to discuss here is Nvidia. That's what I want to discuss. I went through all this stuff on the ArchWiki website here and followed some of this for Optimus, for installing the drivers for Optimus. Now, having a read here, I think it said somewhere where I need to, I created these in XinitRC, done all that, and then I followed the display manager for this, so created these files, and I believe it tells you if you're going to do that. On this one here, I created these and I typed them in manually in a TTY to make sure that there was no X running or anything like that, just to be sure. And I think it did tell you there somewhere. If it doesn't, then I wasted my time, but I created the Optimus.desktop in this location here and also in this location. Typed all this in manually, took me a while. I'm not the quickest typist in the world. And then I tried this XR&R as well. But my biggest problem with Nvidia is this one here. xorg.conf. Now, every time I put an xorg.conf file there, and it doesn't matter what's in the file. If I was to type section module and end section and put nothing in between, anything that's typed there, my screen will just be black on startup. And it doesn't matter what I put in. As soon as I put an xorg.conf file there, done deal, game over. I don't get anywhere. I have to rename that in a TTY to .bk, and then it starts back up again. So I don't know what that's about. So I followed some of this stuff here and followed it all. I didn't have to do that one because it said only if it doesn't display correctly, so I didn't have that issue. Now I spent many hours on this actually, and the only everything else seemed to not mess anything up, just xorg.conf. So the only thing that normally works on this laptop is if I do the 20-NVIDIA xorg.conf.d, which will be in Etsy X11, xorg.conf.d. And then I've got that file there, which will be in there. Now, that works on Linux Mint and Elementary. And that's all I have to put in there. And that's the pipeline, force composition pipeline and force full composition. And that normally works. Not on GNOME, it doesn't work. So I went through all this and I had no joy. And I'm happy to do, all this messing around, because if I can find the answer, I will share it with everybody, and it might help somebody reduce the grief of this screen tearing. Now, you can put up with screen tearing, but if there's an option and you can fix it, it's even more better because it helps you enjoy your computer more. So I don't really need to do this because I could probably just use it with the Nouveau drivers and I could probably be happy, but I've got an Nvidia card there, why not use it? So I got a bit desperate I was just looking around. I wasn't desperate. I was over it at that point in time. And then I'd done a YouTube search and found this one here. And I think I've actually come across this guy a couple of times before, just on general YouTube searches. So what I want to put to everybody is, especially you people who are out there a little bit more technical than me, I put in this code here, and let's have a look what it says. Sudo gedit etsymodprobe Nvidia DRM modeset.conf. So it creates this file here inside these folders. And then once that opens up, and then you put in this command here in the file, which will be this one here. And then once you've done that, then you run sudo update init ram fs space -u. And after that, my screen tearing has gone. Now, I did do a lot of messing around. I had all these files and everything. I renamed them .bk so they had no influence on what was going on with the desktop as it started and so forth. So I thought, no, not happy with that. Too much messing around. I'll do a fresh install, which I did, a fresh install. And then all I did was I installed the Nvidia driver within the software updater. And you've got to go to the settings on that. And if there's no, you open up the updater, and if there's no updates, and I think even if there is updates, I'm pretty sure you've got the settings button, which is this one here. Go to additional drivers and install your Nvidia card from there. So I'm on the 418. I did a lot of stuff on the 390, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use the latest one, and I'm going to just run this command and this one. And let's have a look at that, have a quick look at that. So when the file opens after running the previous command, add following line and save the file. Finally, update init ram fs, which is this one here, and reboot your machine. And then you run this command and you should get yes. So let's have a quick look at that. Now for arrow up, I probably should have that command, which is that one there. Enter that. I'll put in my password. And we have a Y for yes. And screen tearing has gone. Now it was simple as that. No mucking around with all this stuff here on the Arch Wiki. But my question now is this a bad option or is this a good option? I don't know. I don't understand what this stuff's all about. Parameter mode set. I know what that's sort of doing. I think that's setting some sort of mode set on startup, maybe, because that's pretty much what that has to do with it all. So, and then Nvidia DRM. So is anyone out there that can tell me whether this is a good fix or a bad fix? All that I know is that it works, there's no screen tearing, and there's a lot less messing around, which is with all this on the Arch Wiki. So I'm asking the question because now we're in Zorin at the moment. So, and I would have to think that this will work for any Ubuntu base. So I'm probably going to reinstall Ubuntu Budgie. I may even try Ubuntu proper or just the Ubuntu GNOME and see how that goes. So that's my question to you guys. So the other thing we can do is we can also go to the Nvidia settings. So if we go to Nvidia settings, X server settings, we can go to also the power, is it the power miser? And it says here that you can put your preferred mode on prefer maximum performance or adaptive. I'm not quite sure maximum performance, obviously if you're gaming I would have to think, or something like that. So I'm not really sure, I've never used that before, but it does suggest it on here. And also let's just quit that, and we can also do this one here. You can change your swappiness. So if you have more than enough RAM, which I do, I have, well, I've got 8 gig of RAM here, but on my main system I've got 32. So you can, if you was to do this command here, put in your password, and then you can adjust that in there. So what you would do is just type that information there, just on the next line, just enter down and then type all that in there and save your file. So I'm not sure at what point, if you have more than enough RAM. So I'm not sure what they mean by more than enough RAM. I've got 8 gigs. I'd have to think 16 gigs or more. I'd think they'd be talking about there. I think 8 gigs you'd definitely be using. Probably there's more of a chance of going into your swap of 8 gigs on that much. The only thing is you could probably drop it down to 10 anyway, so it just doesn't use swap until it gets, I think that's 10% or something. I can't remember exactly what that figure does, but so it'll take it a lot longer before it starts using swap. It'll use up a lot more of your RAM before it starts using swap. I think that's what that setting does. So that's Nvidia discussions out of the way. So I'm on the gnomelook.org website, and there is a GTK 3 theme here which I like, which is the Pro Dark. You've probably seen me use it in some previous videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this one here. So I'm going to save that, and then we're going to probably go down here, and on the top of the list is Papyrus icons. So they are complete. So we're going to go to my downloads folder. I'll first of all we'll go to home and show hidden files. Create a new folder called .themes, and another one called .icons. Most people who are watching will know how to do that anyway. So the icon, let's extract that here. So that does take just a little while to extract that one. There's quite a few folders in there. As you can see, there's a few subfolders. So we're going to, we'll just cut those out of there and put them under .icons. This one means nothing. It's just got some files in there, but these are the ones we're interested in. And then we shall go back to home and downloads and cut and paste that into themes. Extract here. That's the Pro Dark, and just make sure there's no subfolders. No, there's not. So this is what impresses me most about Zorin OS this time. Now, I know I've said in previous statements talking on BigDaddyLinux Live, I don't really like the themes on Zorin, and probably don't like is a bit harsh, but probably they're not to my taste anyway normally. They've got the like neon type themes going on normally in Zorin OS, And so, you know, like Zeb said, if you don't like it, don't use it. And that's a fair statement. And I didn't like him, and I pretty much don't use Zorin. But on this occasion, we have in here a Zorin appearance. So we don't have a tweak tool, but we have Zorin appearance. So under theme, we've got choices down here. So under applications, we can choose, I didn't mean to do that, we can choose Pro Dark, and we can choose our icons, which I'll go for Papyrus. And shell theme, that's just using default at the moment, so we'll leave it at that. Now, as you can see, Zorin is now honouring some of these GTK themes. And I like to use this theme, it's a really nice theme. So that seems to be working quite good, and I'm pretty happy with that. Haven't tried messing around with the shell themes, but if I wanted to, I could probably look at some of the, where are they? GNOME shell themes here. You can go through some of those and check out what's going on there. I'll leave it on default at the moment. But I'm pretty happy that Zorin OS has allowed now for people to actually put their own GTK themes in here, and it works a little bit like your normal Ubuntu GNOME, and that's really cool. So that one thing I noticed here is under appearance, these were three laid out side by side, but under this theme it seems to be takes up more room, so it's a little bit smaller. So if we go back to the normal theme, which is if we click on this white one here, that's the normal white theme, and then everything changes back to default just by clicking that. Now you can see if we go to here, the layout is like that. Everything's still there, it's just sort of slightly differs. And with that theme, everything seems to shrink down a little bit, so that's why it's pushed all those these pictures sort of a little bit down instead of side by side. So that's not too bad anyway, that's okay. Everything else seems to look pretty good. And then you've got, if we go back to standard, then we got dark theme. So you've got the Zorin dark theme happening there, and then you can change your themes here if you want to different colors. And that's the neon type themes I was talking about before, but I couldn't get some themes like this Pro Dark working before in Zorin, so I just think that's awesome that that now works. We'll go with the light theme. Well, actually, if we go with the dark theme and change that back to that, that takes away the dark theme anyway, because the theme takes over. Yep, that makes sense. So that is pretty cool. So I've noticed we've still got a dark theme on the shell happening there since we've done the dark theme. So if we go back to appearance, and we click on the light theme, and then we change back to Pro Dark again. So you've got to select your color first and then select your applications, and then this bottom bit here will stay dark. Okay, that looks pretty good. So no screen tearing, nice and smooth, good to see. So just bearing in mind this is Zorin is a beta at the moment, so and it seems to be running pretty stable right now. Now we've got settings there. So in the settings you've got appearance, and you can change background and lock screen, and you've also got Zorin appearance here, which you can, it gives you a shortcut back to the Zorin appearance. And in the panel, like I showed in my last video, you got the Zorin menu by pressing the super key, or you can have the activities overview, like so. And you can also search for files, which if I look for Nvidia, what will come up? Home column documents, screen tearing files, 20-nvidia.conf. So we have the best of both worlds here. We've got like a standard menu still by clicking that, but we still get an activities overview by pressing the Windows button, or we can put it back to the Zorin menu, and that just brings up the menu by pressing the super key. So that is, haven't discovered too much more in Zorin at the moment, but I did put flat packs and snaps in there in my last video on VM. I don't think I've completely done that yet on this system here. It's all brand new. I was just trying to get Nvidia and stop the screen tearing. So it looks like I've solved that at the moment, but I just want to get people's point of view on this one here. See what you reckon. Maybe that's something new I can go with. Have things changed over the years, and xorg.conf is not really a player in this scenario anymore? I don't know. But for me, definitely it's a real deal breaker when it comes to xorg.conf file. That thing just doesn't like my computer at all. Doesn't like it 1 ounce. It'll just throw my computer into a hissy fit. It'll black screen. 20-nvidia.conf never gives me any issues, but that doesn't work on GNOME desktop. So anything GNOME based, that doesn't work. So what do you think? Is this a good workaround? Can anybody shed some light on what's going on here, and is this the best way to go about getting rid of Nvidia screen tearing in the GNOME desktop? I'd be interested in your thoughts. So that's all I have for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it interesting and informative, and thanks for watching.